One of the most notable changes in Wrath compared to Classic or TBC was the amount of different cosmetics, mounts and titles that now existed to set yourself apart from others. This on top of the brand new achievement system and quality of life changes such as the mount or pet tabs really gave the collection and completionist enthusiast a way to truly pursue their endgame. That sweet green bar showing that all the things have been obtained. With so many memorable collection pieces existing from Wrath, today I thought I'd go over 10-ish, well, okay, it's more than 10, but 10 looks better in the title, of the most memorable, iconic and sought after items from the Wrath of the Lich King era of the game. Before we go on, guess what? I was looking at my channel stats the other day and only one person that watches my videos isn't subscribed. Can you believe that? If you sub today, you could complete the real life YouTuber 100% collection log. Do I get an achievement for that? Oh, and like the video too. Anyways, Wrath items, let's make a start. Titles. Wrath is absolutely full of them. Now that raiding is both 10 and 25 man, each version of the raid awarded different titles, both so you can make a difference between the two and because 25 man was originally designed to be harder and it gave higher item level loot. As a result of this, the 25 man ones were often seen as more prestigious, and some of these titles, though prestigious as they were, could be earned at any point throughout a tier. If you complete Nax 10 man with 0 deaths on any bosses, you get the Undying. What about Nax 25 with 0 deaths? Well, that is the Immortal. There were versions of this for Ulduar too. 10 man was Champion of Ulduar, 25 man was Conqueror of Ulduar. There were also special titles too, such as Herald of the Titans, which would be defeating Algalon the Observer 10 man without anybody in the raid wearing gear that is better than 10 man Ulduar gear. Trial of the Crusader had titles like this too, but the big ones that very few people will get because only one guild can get them are the Realm First raiding titles. Now, we already know Blizzard is planning to delay the release of Wrath of the Lich King's raids till the second reset after launch, so tier 7 is kind of gonna be, well, who sweated out the most badges and has a raid team ready to go when the instance is open. These all have super unique titles: Obsidian Slayer, Magic Seeker, Conqueror of Naxxramas. Those are for tier 7 25 man. You can guess which one goes where. Ulduar has Death's Demise for the first 25 man Zero Keeper's kill on Yogg-Saron. The first 25 man Algalon gives the Celestial Defender, and the final raid to have the Realm First was Trial of the Crusader, which awarded Grand Crusader, which is the first 25 man clear with 0 wipes. Suffice to say, Grand Crusader, at least back in the day, was one of the harder ones for sure, but I imagine it will happen week 1 these days. The PTR testing is going to be very important. Even then, one mistake and it is over. Nevertheless, titles are a huge part of Wrath, and many of them will be very highly sought after. Another big change from previous expansions is the sheer volume of trinkets that you have access to, and the fact that pretty much all of them are at least decent. Think back to vanilla. How long were you using your Briarwood Reed or your Blackhand's Breath? You got months of value out of them. Out of all the Wrath of the Lich King trinkets though, of which there are literally dozens, there is one in particular which I feel as though stands out quite clearly above the others. Though you do have to wait until the final raid releases before you can get it, I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about by now: Deathbringer's Will. This will be the single most sought after trinket in the game, and it's just not even close. More or less every physical damage dealer wants this. If not for the stats, the fact it can transform you into a bunch of different Northrend races. You could even be a Taunka rogue for 30 seconds, and retail is only just letting you be a Tauren rogue now. Wrath was clearly ahead of its time. It had a ton of armor penetration, which by ICC every physical damage dealer wanted to stack as much as possible. It's great for PvP, it's great for PvE. This item just does absolutely everything. Expect this to go for gold cap or more in early GDKP clears. No exaggeration. Another item now, also introduced in the final patch of the game and from a random drop from any of the 3 heroic dungeons that released alongside patch 3.3, those being the Pit of Sauron, the Forge of Souls, and the Halls of Reflection. This often fetched a decent price on the auction house and is very reminiscent of the Quel'Serra questline from vanilla World of Warcraft, where initially you found a book as a random drop in Diamol, which eventually led you to reforging the blade in Onyxia's Breath, and you got a pretty solid tanking weapon at the end of the whole journey. This weapon follows along a pretty similar path, where you undergo learning about it, reforging the blade, and eventually taking it all the way to the Sunwell to purify it. The quest even has a different ending between Blood Elves and other races due to the blade's heritage, and originally being a weapon of legend among the elves. At the end of the quest, you're able to choose from a whole host of different rewards that suit any class or play style. Whilst the item level of the reward is not the best, if I'm honest, if you have some gold to spare or you get lucky during one of the dungeons, it is an interesting quest line to follow along and is something that plenty of people will want to do, if not for the reward, then for the experience of having done it. And we can't talk about Wrath of the Lich King and sought after items without talking about mount. It's impossible. And there is one mount, or Drake, Proto Drake I should say in particular, that would leave people charting maps, recording respawn and kill times, setting alarms and living at their PC for the chance to claim this elusive beast for themselves. The name of this mount I'm pretty sure was more referring to those hunting it rather than the Drake itself, but residing like a needle in a haystack way up in the Storm Peaks is the time-lost Proto Drake. The sheer volume of comments on Wowhead show how painful it could be to camp a respawn like this. Players would sit there on 2 or 3 or even more accounts for hours upon hours at a time. NPC scan on, spamming macros, flying between locations non-stop, only to have that random lucky guy who was just herbing come across it and grab the kill before you could. All I can say with our server sizes in Classic is good luck if you want this. I assume layering will mean there are potentially several Drakes up at once, because only having one Drake up across all layers would just be pure evil, but perhaps that is what the time-lost Proto Drake would have wanted. All the same, if you're going hard leveling early and you're doing a little bypass in the Storm Peaks after launch, it'll be there somewhere guaranteed. You just have to find it. But there were more than just rare mount spawns in Wrath. Oh yes, if you're a hunter and you love completionism content, you have 4 highly rare and sought after pets to track down across Northrend. These are the Spirit Beasts, tameable only by a Beastmaster hunter with the appropriately named Beast Mastery talent taken. These are a new set of pets which offer a different look and a few unique abilities. They are Arcturus, the Spirit Bear in the Grizzly Hills, Gondria, the Spirit Tiger in Zuldrak, Skoll, the Spirit Wolf in the Storm Peaks, and often the most sought after and difficult to obtain, Loka Nahak, the Spirit Leopard in Sholazar Basin. The difficulty in getting any of these are the highly variable spawn times ranging from a few hours to an entire day. Many of them have a bunch of different spawn points and they are all dotted across the leveling zones, meaning somebody may see a rare tiger and think, oh, I wonder what that's going to drop, only for a very sad hunter to arrive a few moments later. I want to bring it back around and mention a few more mounts that have retrospectively become extremely rare and sought after in the retail version of the game, 2 of them in particular, which are now only ever seen on the black market auction house for millions of gold. So when Blizzard first did the Glory of the Hero raiding achievements, the mounts associated with them were limited time to that actual content patch. This was to reward players who pushed to complete achievements early on and to give them something that would last, that people would recognize. With the opening of Wrath of the Lich King in tier 7, completing all 25-man raid achievements awarded the Black Proto Drake. Sure, it was just a recolor, but it was a unique recolor. When 3.1 and Ulduar came about, the Black Proto Drake was removed from the game and a new limited time Drake was added for clearing all the 25-man achievements in Ulduar, which was the Plague Proto Drake. Much like the previous tier, this mount only ever existed whilst Ulduar was current content, and when 3.2 happened, it was removed from the game, but 2 other Proto Drakes were later added to Ulduar to award players for completing all of the 10 or 25-man achievements. In Wrath of the Lich King Classic, I'm expecting Blizzard to do things pretty much the same when it comes to mount prestige here. I don't really see why they wouldn't, though I think regardless of what they do, far more people will be riding about on their dream mounts in Wrath, I'm sure. We're getting towards the end now, and there's this weapon which people will be after in Wrath of the Lich King. It's something Morn. It'll come back to me later, I'm sure, but as part of the quest line to get that weapon, there are also plenty of extra rewards, because just getting the best weapon in the game is not quite enough. After defeating the Lich King with a Shadowmourne equipped, he will drop a chest containing several items that you can return to their respective owners for extra loot. These are Sylvanas' music box, which plays Lament of the Highborn, Jaina's locket, which teleports you to Dalaran, Reigns of the Crimson Death Charger, a mount that looks like the Death Knight one, Muradin's Favor, which transforms you into a Frost Dwarf for 10 minutes, and Tabard of the Lightbringer, one of the best looking tabards in the game, in my opinion, with an on-use that makes you look extra shiny. And you can sell all of these items to other players. Keep in mind, only 1 chest will drop from the Lich King per Shadowmourne obtained, so all of these items will be very much sought after and will fetch a high price, and that will still be the case even though there will be so many more Shadowmournes made during Classic than original, I can guarantee that. For collectors, any or just the whole package here will set you back a lot of gold, so I would get friendly with whoever you know is going to be getting your guild's first Shadowmourne sooner rather than later. I wanted to include 1 or 2 pop culture reference items on here too. There's an absolute load of them throughout World of Warcraft. I mean, come on, on, the Burning Crusade has Oprah Windfury and Harris Pilton to name two. World of Warcraft has always been packed with references to other games or shows. I've picked out two in particular. One you're gonna know 100%. The other, I'll be surprised, it's quite a bit more obscure, but I think it's cool. So tell me, how can you kill that which has no life? On October 4th, 2006, a South Park episode aired named Make Love, Not Warcraft, where Sal's run from accounting told a tale that one day a player so legendary would appear to hold the Sword of 1000 Truths. This episode was huge. Despite it poking a lot of fun at World of Warcraft players in the franchise, it did a lot to popularize and introduce the game to so many more people. And in Wrath of the Lich King, Blizzard took this legendary weapon and put it in the game. Well, a nerfed version, named the Slayer of the Lifeless. This was a remodel of Gressel Dawn of Ruin with a flavor text to fit. And during vanilla, Gressel was literally the best melee one-handed weapon for DPS in the game. Everything about the flavor of this item is perfect and it's such a fun thing. The second item I want to cover is Enti's Quench Sword. This dropped from a frost giant in the Storm Peaks. This was a reference to an item dropped from a mob in EverQuest, Inti Akera, who was thought to be impossible to defeat, but a guild, Fires of Heavens, managed to do just that. The sword was so powerful it was nerfed in mere days, and the World of Warcraft version being grey and described as quenched very much reflects that. Funnily enough though, it was also incredibly overpowered in World of Warcraft for a short period of time, because it was item level 200 but had no level requirement to use it, meaning you could put full power enchants on it and use it as a twink weapon in the level 19 bracket to really good effect. Shortly after, Blizzard realised this might not be a good idea and put a level requirement on it, but I think it's another flavour item with a fun story to it. I thought I'd throw one thing in here that we won't be able to get anymore. Well, I highly doubt it anyway. So Blizzard used to give special in-game rewards via codes to people who attended their live events, such as BlizzCon. And BlizzCon 2008 was no exception. Each attendee would get a code for a big Blizzard bear, which is, yeah, it's a big bear with a Murloc flag on it. Pretty cool. I don't expect them to do any promo code content again. I feel they would have in TBC if they wanted to. These days, however, if you are interested, it looks as though codes still go for about $450. And I'm gonna be honest, I thought it would be a lot more. Then again, no Spectral Tiger, is it? Okay, the last one then, don't think I forgot. Out of everything that people will want to get their hands on during Wrath of the Lich King, there is one thing above absolutely everything else. The new legendary, the orange weapon to end all others, reforged through the trials of the Frozen Throne, Shadowmourne. This is the best melee weapon in the game by a very long way. It has crazy good base stats, really high item level, gem sockets, an amazing proc in both visuals and effects. It has a great quest line, the other rewards we've already been over. This weapon is kind of a big deal. And unlike TBC, for legendaries, Blizzard went back to how things work in Nax 40, where the majority of the grind is on getting shards from bosses. I kind of like the certainty that comes with it, but it is a little less hype than seeing a glaive on the floor, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, and of course there's Val'anyr too, I'm not gonna pretend that doesn't exist. Super powerful again, huge proc, really pushes your best healers over the top. Either way, if you really want a shot at getting a Shadowmourne, you already know you're getting it, or you better get started on making your own guild, and I don't even think I'm exaggerating, they're going to be that high in demand. And that is about everything I wanted to cover today. There's loads of unique and fun rewards in Wrath from just playing the game. Let me know if there's anything else you would have liked to see here. As with many of the Wrath of the Lich King topics so far, there's just so much to cover that I may be able to do a follow-up. But that is entirely on you guys, so like the video if you did like it, let me know your thoughts on everything. As always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I will see you all in the next one very soon.